Yo, so I wanted to get on here because as somebody that has experienced fear, I mean, we've all experienced fear, but I mean, as someone that has been living it for we'll just say 5-6 years now, um, I mean, I've probably been living in fear for longer than that. And the reason why I say that is because if you are afraid to take a leap of faith and you can't become greater than your thoughts of you trying to do something new, even if you think it would fail, like you're just thinking that it's going to fail all the time, and you can't see past that, you can't get past that thought and be greater than that thought, then that has control over you, and that is called fear. I've had many, thousands of ideas that I would love to bring to life and to express, but I didn't because I was too afraid of myself, of what other people would think of me, of how I thought about myself, and many other things as well. You know, I just got told a story, and I'll kind of briefly explain it real quick. I'm not going to say the whole thing, but I'm going to explain it. So there's two people. There's this guy named Billy, and there's this guy named Ed. And Billy is constantly living in fear and lack and scarcity. And Ed, he has this idea of starting his own restaurant, but he has to leave his job and get a loan from the bank, and he's got a perfect place that he wants to do it, and he really wants to do this thing, so he does it. He quits his job, and he goes and he's talking to Billy about it, and he says, Billy, I'm gonna quit my job. I want to pursue this because I love to make food, and I want to open a restaurant. It's always been a dream of mine. And Billy's like, why would you leave your job? You get a paycheck and you're safe there. It gets down to pretty much where Billy ends up being sick, and he's on his deathbed, and he's thinking, he's got this horrible disease, and he's thinking, what if I just trusted myself, just like how Ed trusted his self to go in on this idea. And that's exactly what Ed said. He's like, well, I'm just going to go ahead and trust myself and trust that God is going to be there and that it's all going to work out. And so that's what Ed did. He started his restaurant, and he became massively successful with it. He had so many customers, and it took some time at first though, and he almost wanted to give up on the idea altogether, but he kept on pushing this idea, and he kept on pursuing this goal every single day, and eventually it became a huge success for him. So this whole story is, where I'm going with this is, I've always been that person that is Billy. That was me for the longest time, living in fear. And the truth is, we both have Billy and Ed, living simultaneously inside of us. Billy being our mind and our body, and Ed being our soul. And we all have this idea of who we want to be and who we think that we can be and know that we could be. But there's this thing called fear that lives between the lines there, and it controls this whole perception of our reality, of what we think we can do, and our limits, everything that we believe that we cannot do as well. So I'm making this video because I've let a lot of opportunities slip from my life, and I've let a lot of just things that I wish I would have acted on sooner, not happen. Because I just didn't act on them. I didn't know how to overcome the fear. I didn't know how to get out of that cycle, because I couldn't see greater than those thoughts. I couldn't get beyond what could go right. I never thought about what could go right. I was always thinking about what was going to go wrong. So how could I spend any time and energy thinking about what could go right if all of my energy and my attention is placed on this idea of things that could go wrong and only seeing that as a possibility? Of course it was going to go wrong if I were to act on it, because I couldn't see greater than that idea. I couldn't get beyond those thoughts and those feelings of fear inside of me. So I let it overtake me and control me, and I never acted on things because I was living in that environment. I was living in that idea, and it became my identity. And it was something that I had, like I said, 6-7 years ago, let this idea control me. It's crazy. I'll tell you how it an example of how it kind of controlled me. I had this idea of being an online fitness coach ever since I got into school, actually. When it was even before I got to school, when I went to OSU. And that was back in 2021 that I enrolled to go to OSU, and I got in and I started going. I had this idea of being this massive influencer, not like influencer, but like this, just somebody that was online coaching people, or just changing people's lives in a greater way. And I wanted to help them physically and mentally. That was a passion of mine. I wrote it in my essay for school that I was extremely passionate about fitness and I wanted to pursue a career in it. I didn't say that I wanted to do it online. I didn't know at the time that that was even a possibility. And as I got to school, I realized that it was a possibility. And I realized that other people were doing it. And so I wanted to get involved in this mentorship that was going to be about $400 a month. And I was like, oh yeah, there's no way I can do this. I just thought that they wanted to onboard me and then take a percentage of, people that I would coach and stuff, like take a percentage of money from my cut of me coaching people and stuff. And then they were going to help me through that process of getting clients and coaching people. And so that was what I thought was going to happen. But I ended up making a new decision that I couldn't do it, that I wasn't good enough to do it, that I couldn't see past that idea of me doing this and becoming successful at it. So I didn't do it. I stayed shallow and I stayed small, and instead of doing that, I just started posting, and I kept on posting more and more. I was still posting at the time, but I got more involved on social media, and that's when I first had like this, you can call it a breakthrough, where I started to reach, more exposure on Instagram and get more views, more likes, more followers. And, then I was like, oh, I really believe that I can actually do something, in this space, in this community, in this world of fitness online. And then something really kind of traumatic happened in my life, and I started to lose myself mentally. I just started to lose my touch with reality, essentially, and that took another hold on me. That took another hold of fear on my whole life, and it basically enhanced and amplified my fear that I had beforehand times 100. And I could not get beyond anything at all. I couldn't even go to school anymore. I couldn't do anything really. I could barely get up off my couch to drink some water and take care of myself and to eat some food. That was already a success right there, if I was able to get up off the couch to get food and water. I'm not going to go into any more details about the entire story and stuff and everything that took place. But I made this video because as somebody that has lived with fear controlling my life for years and years now, I want to encourage you to not be the same person that I am, and to take a chance on yourself if you have an idea of what you want to do, and becoming something more than yourself, and you feel like you can help other people because you can share ideas with them, then I think you should absolutely do that, because I could have helped a lot of people by now. There's people in my life that aren't in my life anymore that I probably could have helped, and I don't like to say that I regret things, but I kind of do in a way, because if I would have acted sooner, if I wouldn't have been so afraid, then I would have been able to help people and maybe even save some people. But I didn't, because I was afraid. And I just want to encourage you to, be stronger than me, and that if you have a goal, if you have a dream, that you can absolutely do whatever it is that you want to do, and to have faith that it is possible. Because if it's something that has crossed your thought process, and it's some type of belief, and maybe you hold some limiting beliefs around that belief, but I believe that if you have that thought, if you have a dream, that it is your truth. I think that is something that you are meant to do. And I don't think that has happened by no reason. I don't think that idea has crossed your mind for absolutely no reason. I think that there is a greater reason for it, and that it is almost like your calling in a way to do that and to pursue that. So I'm going to leave off with that. You can do anything that you want to do, that you put your mind to in this world. And don't let fear be the controlling factor of your life and what you can do, because I let it control me for such a long time, and this is kind of me making that confirmation video of like, I'm not going to let it happen anymore. I'm not going to let fear dictate my life anymore, because I've let it control me for such a long time. And just, it's time to break the chain and to separate that line from this identity of me and living in fear, and this identity of me and pursuing things that I actually want to do, and talking about the things that I want to talk about, and expressing myself the way that I want to express myself. So